So today we're going to be continuing on the Grand Canyon, and so we're going to be focusing on the chalk pastel. I like to do the canyon pieces of the elements first because my finger will have the same color. Then I usually go down to the water. A little bit of green here is for some vegetation, and then the sky will be my last thing I do. If you had birds flying in the sky, you would add that last, and little details like that. And then right here is an actual photograph from the Grand Canyon, and you can see how beautiful the color of the water is, the different like browns and reds and yellows and all these great colors for the different layers. And then this just is a very simple sky. So it's really up to you of how you want to do this. So we have the chalk pastels we're using. I've already taken the lid off. This foam piece isn't for smudging, it's just to protect the chalk. And then we're gonna use mostly the colors up here for the canyon, and then maybe some green area in the water right over here. So, and then the sky can be whatever you want. So I won't finish it all right here, but you can kind of see where I've started. I like to have a paper towel, so since I'm right-handed, if I'm working over here, it keeps my hand from getting super messy. So I'm going to start over here on this top, and it's really up to you what colors you use. But the main thing is I want you to keep in mind I'm working really lightly. I am not pressing hard. Then I can put that back and get another color. Now that peach color is a little lighter than I wanted, but the great thing about these are they mix so well. So I can take this kind of reddish brown right over it. I can go to another color. And I want you to know that I'm not pressing hard because chalk is really messy, and we're going to use our fingers to blend. But the nice thing is we don't have to use our fingers right now. I'm just going to finish this whole area first. Well, I'm kind of lifting my hand up so I'm not touching my paper, but if you are someone who likes to rest your hand on the paper, this paper towel will be wonderful. Okay, I'm going to grab another brown. Ooh, I like that brown. It's pretty. I'm gonna add some of that brown to this color here. Maybe I go into some orange. And you can see the white spaces, it's not as interesting, but then when you blend it, and I like to use my finger, I just blend in a section at a time, and then I'm gonna let that color move on to the row below. That's gonna take care of making sure that any white spaces are covered up. Also, when you do this, if you're like, okay, I'm not as thrilled about how a color turned out, you can certainly go back in and add more. Then I can go in here. Once again, very, very lightly, I can go over this one that I've already previously done, maybe even a third color, because why not? I think it's nice to do color blending when you have a chance. That's a little light for me. So I'm gonna add some of this brown on top of it. I'm gonna try to use that same finger to kind of blend. So I would do this to all of mine. You can see there's a few little areas. You have a little bit of shavings. You can take that over to a trash can and kind of tap it like this and it'll fall into the trash can. Don't blow it because people probably are allergic to it like I am, and we do not need anyone sneezing and coughing a ton. So I am going to do this one. That brown I wanted, that's really dark. That's okay. And then I'm gonna do this one is a larger area, so I'm kind of using the side of my chalk, but I don't want it to be one flat color. This will be where I'm standing and kind of looking out. I'm gonna use my finger here. Remember, after you blend it, if it's too smooth for you, you can certainly add more to it, okay? So in mine, I have a little bit of this grass down here showing, and this is very bright green, so it's a little too bright for me. So I'm gonna grab this darker green, or maybe I wanted to grab a little bit of brown with the green, and I can color that in. I can leave it like that or smudge it. I mean, it's small. I can just kind of smudge it just a little bit, but you don't have to. And then the actual river, I kind of like this bold color here. It's really pretty. So I want to make sure I'm carefully coloring within this section. because the last thing you want is these beautiful colors of your Grand Canyon to get mixed in with the browns. I could take another shade of blue, and I'm just pressing it very light. Now, at this point, I would probably just wipe off my hands, or if it really bothers you, you can go and wash your hands. I generally will try to choose another finger to blend when I'm doing like a contrasting color, and try to keep it within that area, okay? Okay, now see how it smudged over there? Even me being careful and only using my finger, I still smudged. So I'm gonna go back in here and just kind of layer that kind of edge with another color, okay? And I can use another finger. If I use my blue finger, it just make this mess even messier. Okay, so I do the same thing here on this side. And then when you get to the sky, you can put your paper here and color like this, or sometimes I'll take my paper and set it upside down and use this side here for the sky. And remember, you can have a sunset, whatever you want. We have whites here too. So you can use some whites, and the whites kind of naturally blend it even without a finger. So I might even just leave it like that. I think that's pretty. And it's just going all the way around. So I want to make sure it looks like my sky. Let's see, clean finger. My sky is going to the tippy top of the Grand Canyon. I don't want it to look like there's white right at the edge. Okay, and I could just leave it like that. I can have that chalk right here to show some, I'm pressing a little bit harder this time to show some cloud, some spaces. That's interesting. If I want it to be pure white like this, I wouldn't have colored over it with the chalk, okay? So if you want something to be pure white, I would leave it pure white of the paper, or you're not gonna get it as nice. Now, we're gonna pretend that I finished this one, okay? The last thing I like to use is a little bit of black, and I'm gonna create kind of a shadow. If you look at this picture, you see like there's areas where one rock is covering another rock, or this rock right here is kind of slightly behind. And so the light's coming from this way, so you can see a shadow, and you see all these great shadow lines in there. So I'm gonna add that. Now, you have to do this last. If you do black too early, it's gonna smudge everything. So I'm not gonna do it on this one here because I wanna still finish this, but I'm gonna pretend that I am done. So I'm gonna kind of shadow. I can kind of go into my ridge a little bit here. I'm gonna take a finger and kind of smudge it. And just lightly, I mean barely touching the paper, just giving it a little bit of a shadow. So here, because this one's in front of that one, I can do a shadow. That one I just barely have any. And then I'm just gonna kind of smudge it. So you give it a little bit more depth. You can even have like some places under the rocks that it's kind of overhanging. So accentuate some of these like curves. But I wouldn't do all of it. I think if you get too many areas of the black, it can get really kind of dingy and dirty, and you've spent all this time creating these beautiful layers of color, and I don't want you to be frustrated and be like, okay, I just ruined all my hard work. Okay, and I can just have it here on that side of the river, because that river would be technically shadowed by some of the canyon. Would be over there if the sun's setting. Okay, so I wouldn't do this side until I finish that. So we're just gonna pretend for a moment. And like I said, I just used a little bit of black around a little bit of the edges. I didn't even do anything in here, and I just did one here, 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 and this section. So I wouldn't do everything, but any area that you want it to be like a little more weight to show that this big rock is sitting on this edge here, maybe one right here to show that this whole canyon is behind this rock right there to make it look interesting, okay? So once you're finished with this, we'll fill out the evaluation form and then tape it to the back, and then we'll be done.